Hi everyone. So March the 31st is Transgender Day of Visibility. Gotta get that one right, don't I? So there's going to be any words that I pronounce correctly, it's got to be transgender, but I guess here we are. And I thought I kind of have to make a video specifically for this day. This is actually, I think, the second TDOV. Oh, Jesus. We'll get to that email in a moment. This is actually my second TDOV since I've been fully and completely out to the world. And the last 12 months have been quite a lot. And it just feels like loss after loss after loss has been the feature of almost every single day of those 365 since the last TDOV. And talking about losses, I want to talk a little bit about my own personal losses over the last 2 years, I suppose, since I came out. But first, let's talk about what I haven't lost before I get into my actual losses. So, unlike a lot of other trans people, I still have my partner, for instance. A lot of my trans friends are unfortunately going through divorces or a lot of turbulences in their relationships, and I'm happy to say Carolina, and in fairness, my family, my friends, have all stood by me and supported me since I started this whole transgender journey thing. And that's been really quite heartening, to say the least. Technically, I still have a job, so I haven't lost work. I did lose the job that I was doing back then, so I'm gonna count that as yes, I have lost a job, but that's more because of the contract expiring than anything else, I suspect. So there are things that I've not lost, but there are certainly things that I have. One of those things is a sense of safety. You know, I can't just stroll the streets without any kind of fear or trepidation about what might happen. And coupled to that is I've lost the freedom of just going up to people and being fairly confident about how they'll respond to me. Honestly, I've not had any problems as yet, but I know that I will, and that fills me with a sort of dread. And yes, I recognize that might make me sound like a bit of a doom-monger or something like this, but I don't think it's unreasonable to be fairly wary about safety given the high prevalence of assaults and attacks on trans people at large. I've got to keep an eye on myself and make sure I don't put myself into situations of high risk. But as I say, so far, people have been fairly respectful, understanding, or just plain neutral, which is fine. And coupled with that, I've lost the, I suppose, freedom for my identity to be my own and my own business. Being visibly trans means that I'm necessarily outing myself to anyone who's paying attention. And as I say, that carries a certain risk, but also a bit of a nuisance, because I'd rather not be having to declare this to the world, but I guess that's the choice I had to square away and become comfortable with. I didn't really have an option. It was either this or continue with my previous life. And that was not something that I was willing to countenance. Another thing I've lost is the, I guess, ability to fit into obvious and clear boxes. Now I seem to sit in this kind of nether region between places when it comes especially to the systems and processes of corporations and companies. I'm now being bombarded every single day by emails to Mr. Abigail because I need to do a criminal record check for an upcoming job. And while that company has assured me that I'll be respectfully referred to throughout my employment there, having to deal with these emails on a daily basis from a third party, it's tiring and, in my view, unnecessary. What else have I lost? Well, I've lost, I guess you could say, quite a lot of money, as I've had to pay for a lot of the things, and you can see exactly how much I've paid in this video. I mean, I suppose it's a loss as far as spending money on anything is. If I wasn't transitioning, I probably wouldn't have spent all that money on transitioning. I've also lost the freedom to read news with a certain degree of dispassionate distance. It feels like every single global incident is potentially going to have personal implications at some point. It's a matter of when, not if. And it does make me quite anxious about the future. So again, that's another thing I've lost, is that sense of certainty about what's coming in the next 10, 20, 30 years. I'm losing freedoms of access to certain spaces. I guess I'm not a girl guide, not anymore, but slowly but surely it feels like my ability to exist in the world is being erased and eradicated piece by piece by certain actors. I've lost my ability to travel to certain places. I love traveling and seeing new towns, cities, countries, destinations, meeting different types of people. Although, as I mentioned, I went to Morocco recently. I need to be very careful about where I go. I think going to somewhere like the US, for instance, is certainly off the cards for quite some time. I've lost my freedom to be independent from medications. I'm now in a place where I feel I need to take certain pills and other things to maintain the balance that I found, and it's not brilliant to be thinking about. So this probably all sounds pretty grim, and I did start with the negatives for a reason, to be honest. And that's not to say that the negatives outweigh the positives, but it would be silly for me to ignore all of those elephants in the room. And I want to acknowledge some of them, because this is not an exhaustive list. It's just the ones that I can think of as I walk along the streets of Warsaw on a Sunday morning. But what else have I lost? Because not all of these losses have been negatives. I've lost a lot of the mental health issues that I was struggling with back in the day. I've lost my lack of resilience. I've lost my low self-esteem and low self-worth. I've lost a lot of the imposter syndrome that I used to struggle with on a daily basis in my life and at work. I've lost a sense of hopelessness about my own personal space and my own personal self-regard. I have lost my lack of stylishness, which is a kind of double negative, I guess. Is that allowed in English? Whatever. Let's just put it this way, I look much better these days. I've also lost an inauthenticity. I've lost the mask that used to adorn my face and my identity every time I had to engage in some kind of socialization. I've lost that drain on my cognitive energy and capacity. I've lost my heaviness. I've lost my darkness. I've lost my misery, my regular cycles of despair and beating myself up at 3 a.m. I mean, I've replaced that with something else, but let's not worry about that too much. So for all of those negatives that I mentioned, is it worth it? I can only conclude, yes, absolutely, it's been worth it 100 million%. And let's talk a little bit about predicting the future, because as I said, there's a massive question mark over how things will turn out over the next whatever coming years, and obviously that fills me with some trepidation. But I've also lost a known future which I couldn't be in anymore. Those cycles of lightness to darkness, well, barely lightness. I could expect and anticipate little things setting me off and leading to weeks and months of mental self-flagellation. And I've lost that. I've lost that ability, that freedom to hate on myself for things that I haven't done yet. And to that extent, I've lost those constraints, those chains which were holding me tight to that negativity, to that space, that future which I determined was an unacceptable one for me. And while I've lost certainty, I've gained hope. And I think if there's one thing I want you to come away from with this Trans Day of Visibility, with me out in the streets being as visible as I always am, I want you to try to remember that not all of us have the circumstances to be out and proud and visible in the world. Some of us aren't in that space where they can be. And I see you who are not able to be as visible as I am. I see your hopelessness, your despair, your pain, your sadness. And for everyone else watching this video, I ask you to just be mindful of those around you. There's a growing hate in the world, and we can't fight it by hating back. We need to be more understanding of others. We need to give people the grace to make mistakes and the forgiveness to welcome them back if they recognize the damage that they're causing. And that's not to say understanding always equals forgiveness. There are people for whom I'd say their actions have been unforgivable. But I don't think these are people in your orbit. So try to be a bit more kind to each other. Try to create a space where people have a bit more freedom to feel that they can be out and visible in the world. And so with that, for everyone watching this video, to all my friends, colleagues, well-wishers, haters, one of you, I suppose, I wish you a very, very good Trans Day. Twice now. I wish you a very pleasant Transgender Day of Visibility. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves, and I look forward to hearing from you all very, very soon. Goodbye.